Hi everyone, my name is Ferdinand Loperena. This is my second time being on Mentally Gone podcast. A lot's changed since then. It's probably been 6, 7 months. I'm not sure, but it was last year, 2022. But yeah, we had a great episode today. We talked about figuring out things in your 20s, AI. Yeah, a lot of things actually. But ever since last year, I've got into real estate, in New Jersey. So if you need a house to sell or to buy, first time home buyers, I can help you. Or if you need a rental, I'm your guy. I'm located in Springfield, my office. There will be my ad for Instagram. It's freddyreadyhomes. So you could get there, go there. All my contact info is there. My personal Instagram is fabadilop. My TikTok is Abadi, and yeah, I do have a blog coming out. It's Munchin. It'll be reviewing foods in New Jersey and New York. Well, anywhere, honestly, but right now we're starting in New Jersey, New York. We'll be reviewing restaurants. We'll have videos, blog posts about it, and it'll be in a fun, creative way that you guys might not expect. I will be using AI for it. So just just look into that. It will be called Munchin or themunchin.com. So thank you and have a great day.
Oh, you crazy. You must be crazy. I saw you crazy.
Listen, I don't know about these other guys, but we are like a superhero. No? We're like, we're not crazy.
Everybody knows you never go full retard.
Muhammad is the most commonly used name on earth. Read a fucking book for one.
Did you get that memo?
Yeah, I got the memo.
Picasso is dead. Walt Disney is dead. I'm dead. Steve Jobs is dead.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Welcome to the Mentally Gone podcast.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Episode number 32 with
Ferdinand Loperena.
Ferdinand Loperena. You came back 6 months ago.
Was it 6 months? It was
I think it was a little over 6 months ago. Well,
probably like May.
May, I think, right?
Yeah, I think May.
And not came back, but you came on for the first time.
Yeah.
At that time. How much different is your life then compared to now, do you think, in like a span of like over 6 months, a little over 6 months?
I've told you before we started, 2020 was crazy. I've been through a lot. I think a lot has changed, and not for the worst. Maybe like an outside point of view, it was for the worst, but like internally, I think I've grown so much last year
because of whatever happened.
Yeah, because of the struggles that everything happened, and so I won't say that 2020 was horrible. Like outside perspective, it was horrible, but like internally, it was amazing, and like I've learned a lot about myself, and I think for 2023, I'm ready to apply everything I've learned. And just move forward and complete everything I want to.
Speaking of completing everything you want to, because it's a new year, do you believe in New Year's resolutions? Like, have you established New Year's resolutions for yourself? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know that everybody listening right now has a huge laundry list of just stuff that they want to accomplish.
No, I used to do New Year's resolutions every year, and this is probably like the second year I haven't done it, but this is the first year I've done a vision board. And I did a vision board because where I work, my broker, she got everybody together and she's like, oh, we're doing a vision board because that's how she operates. And whenever she does a vision board, she completes all her goals and everything.
So it's kind of like the law of attraction type of thing?
It's a very law of attraction, type
vibe. Yeah.
And so I did it and I felt really good about myself. And as opposed to a New Year's resolution, I feel like I could complete my vision. And it's like because I'm being very specific on that board and what I want, and I see a clear path on how to get it.
So you're not just crowding it with just random images.
Yeah,
of like
it's not like,
cars.
I want to be, I don't know, I want to lose weight or,
Yeah, it's like keeping it simple with like how many maximum goals do you usually put? Like 10 max or 6 max?
Whenever I did it, I would do like 10 max.
10 goals. Okay. And what's the biggest goal like that you're like aspiring to? Or would you rather not share? Because I know that a lot of people, they also think that way, which is like if you share a goal before it happens, then the probability of it happening is less because other people now are involved in that goal process.
That's true.
Then the energies, and then people are negative about it, and
It's
they
like
just project it on you.
Work in silence and stuff.
Work in silence, yeah. Which is a hard lesson that I've learned throughout my journey, at least, is that you just like the best way to do it is just work in silence, and then gently announce your goals and gently announce your results, basically.
Yeah.
But don't even announce them, just like show the world kind of.
Well, I basically have on my vision board the vision for my career mindset, my physical mindset, and basically my spirituality mindset, and like how I want to proceed forward with the year. What else I was gonna say? Well, it's basically that stuff, like those main three things.
Do you do any like spiritual practices? Like, do you meditate? Do you pray? If you pray, like to what do you pray to? Like,
no, I do pray. I'm not religious, but I do pray to a higher being.
Same.
Which is, God, basically. And, I don't pray to get things like, I'm not like, oh God, please, like bring me this to my life. I just pray for gratefulness. I'm like, oh, thank you for, giving me this day to live. Thank you for the family and the friends I have.
Right.
The two legs I walk. But I'm not religious at all. I don't really like religion because they just control people.
Yeah, right. 100%.
There's a lot of hypocrites in religion.
Yeah, there are.
So,
especially the Catholic Church that's like known for like moving around the whole pedophile situation. Like, did you know that the priests that rape and take advantage of kids, like they're just moved around instead of like fired?
I did not know that.
So it's the same strategy that like SeaWorld used to do with their whales. Like if one whale killed a trainer by accident, they would just move them to like a different location. So it's
just
the
give
same.
them a different name.
Yeah, and then just camouflage it as like, oh, like this is a brand new whale, like her name is whatever. And I just find that super disconcerting, like it's kind of, it's pretty scary to me. Like I have this very, very unpopular opinion, but I think that the Catholic Church itself might be like super demonic.
Oh no, I agree with you.
Especially nowadays. Like if you look at the picture of any past pope, like they just freak me out. It's like a demon, Like,
you did an episode the other day,
right,
with the snake,
about the whole statue
and
thing.
I was like, wow, that's actually really crazy.
And it's blatant, like it's there for everybody to see, because I feel like people talk about this thing called karmic feedback or karmic energy or something like that, where basically, in order for the occult groups to successfully conduct their rituals and their agendas, like they have to basically disclose it clearly to the world and to the masses. And I feel like that's why you see like all these music videos with like these satanic stuff and the one-eyed symbolism and the random triangles and whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I saw a video the other day. It was with John Lennon, and I forgot who was next to him. It was a singer, a lady singer. But she did like a hand gesture. Yeah, that.
You saw that video too?
And I was like, what?
Yes,
and she noticed the camera was there. She was like, oh, my bad.
And the whole time John Lennon was John Lennon. Rest in peace, John Lennon. But the whole time John Legend was like staring at the camera and just smiling. And then it doesn't pick up on what he said, but essentially he saw it from the corner of his eye, her doing it. And then he said something like while smiling, he's like, don't do that. Yeah. And then she like immediately regretted doing it. And then she kind of like looked at him and was like, oh shit, I wasn't supposed to do that. But basically Baphomet. It's like as above, so below.
They just do it out in the open. I'm like, wow.
Super randomly too. And that was at the American Idol thing. It's like backstage at the American Idol, I think. He was one of the judges, or it was about to be. The Voice. Super wild, super crazy. Fucking wild. And speaking of The Voice, because of that video, I went down a rabbit hole. I was like, what else are they implicated in? Like, what else have they been known for, like this Masonic satanic messaging? And then I found this old 2015 advertisement / commercial for The Voice UK, the one that has Simon. And the whole commercial is like this weird dystopian futuristic setup.
They make it look like some Black Mirror episode.
Black Mirror, exactly that. And then it pans into this room where there's like this like multiple lineups of just robots and clones, kind of like that scene from iRobot.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just start malfunctioning. But for a brief second, you see the leader of these clones kind of malfunction, and she lights up one eye and the other eye doesn't light up. And then it stays like that for a few frames, and then both of them start lighting up, and then it starts like tweaking out. But it's like, wait. I feel like I have to show you this. It's just weird. Like, it's very unnecessary.
Just press play.
Yeah.
So this is it. We finally made it here.
At last, we can reveal the secret formula of the new show.
Nick's new to judging, so we had to set him up from scratch.
It's freaky, man. I'm telling you.
You sound like a pop star. Yeah, this is last year's chips. Wrong chip.
You're amazing. You're the whole package. Oh, you're great. But you
Needs work.
the nation's sweetheart in robot form.
Short story alert. Emotional share spot required. I know exactly what you're going through.
I'm seeing it.
You see the one eye?
This we get a chance to see
It's
what the
freaky, dude.
Iceman is thinking.
I've already found the shoe's winner. It's a group. Girls are gonna love them. Boys are gonna love them. Bigger than One Direction.
It's super stupid, too.
Simon.
Like my show.
Expect the unexpected. The X Factor
What?
returns. on
Expect
ITV.
the unexpected is what they say. But and that, in my opinion, is another strategy that they use a lot, is that they want to like ridicule an idea or a conspiracy theory so that it gets discredited.
Yeah.
And then people who believe in that conspiracy theory, like, they'll be viewed as idiots, as crazy people, you know? So it's always like, I found like a better group than One Direction, and then it's just a few kittens or...
This world, bro, it's so evil out there. I don't know if you've seen, Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey?
He was on, I think, Jimmy Kimmel.
Doing the triangle with the
No.
thing?
He was talking about how, like, we're controlled by the government, by pedophiles and all that.
Recently?
No, I think it was an old clip, and like everybody was laughing, thinking he was joking, but he looked so serious.
Right.
And apparently, the laughter in the background was just added on.
Was a laugh track.
Yeah, it was a laugh track,
yes.
and apparently, like, I was like reading comments. I don't know if it's true or not, but people were saying like they were there and like nobody was laughing.
Super uncomfortable.
Yeah, they were uncomfortable. And you could see like Jimmy Kimmel, or it was Jimmy Fallon, one of them.
It's
and,
definitely
like,
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, and he was like laughing, but like kind of awkwardly.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey, he was like, no, like, you know, this is there's pedophiles and the government wants to control us.
Right.
And you know, everybody's gonna view him as crazy, but he thinks that Hollywood is, you know, corrupt. And
right.
A lot of people actually feel like Hollywood is corrupt. It is corrupt.
To me, I will always listen to those type of people who were at one point so deeply entrenched in that system, like Jim Carrey, Kanye West.
Yeah.
And then they finally get out of it, and then they start voicing their opinions and start exposing everything, and then everybody's so quick to just judge them as crazy, as insane, as
same with Jeffree Star.
Jeffree Star recently came out and also said that he escaped the Illuminati in 2020 something.
Yeah.
And that I forget what else he said, but he said that we would be shocked by what these celebrities have done.
Yeah.
And he said something about Kanye West and Britney Spears, which is interesting because at the time where Andrew Tate was arrested, around the same time Kanye West went missing because his business manager can't contact him to sue him. Apparently he wants to serve him like a subpoena or whatever, and couldn't find him anywhere. Britney Spears has been missing ever since her whole conservatorship or something like that. And so like these, like, it's just strange because to me, anytime something huge like that happens, it's trying to distract us from something else. Like, what are they doing behind the scenes? It's the World Cup, it's Andrew Tate, it's Kanye West, it's Britney, and it's all back to back to back.
Have you heard about Jordan Peterson?
What happened to him? No.
Well, I saw this TikTok. It was with his daughter, and she was saying how like the Department of like Psychology, they're trying to revoke his license because he has such a big impact on society and the media that like they just want to take it away from him.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And when I heard that, I was like, what?
That's so weird though, but not surprising, right?
Yeah, I mean, people who are very vocal, they try to just shut them up, you know.
That's so
nowadays.
Crazy. Which is what makes me kind of scared of this whole podcast, you know, because even those like conspiracy videos that I do, a lot of times I'm not gonna lie and say that I never like that the idea never crosses my mind, but
yeah,
I'll feel a little intimidated, a little insecure kind of, and just scared of like, what if I one day talk too much and then all of a sudden there's like a white van parked on the corner of my house, just, you know, trying to, I don't know what the fuck happens. But
or like what happened with, I don't know if you heard about that guy that he saw like these two giants.
The giant guy.
And now he's dead. I'm like, what?
Yeah. 100% the giant guy. I've been going down like a deep rabbit hole with that because every other TikTok I'll see, people are talking about him. Like, did you hear about that guy who then got shutted up by the CIA? He even came out with a video where he was basically confessing that everything was fake, but then his like body language was all like kind of uncomfortable. He kept like looking to the side, almost as if someone was there, like telling him what to say and like approving his lines and stuff. But the problem with that one, which I think I might have debunked it. I don't know if I did or not, but his wife's TikTok account continues normally.
Oh, really?
So she's not grieving. She's not she hasn't stopped posting TikToks. He's a father and a good husband. And I think that he might have just faked his death because
just to like get away from all that.
Just to create a narrative even, you know, like he made a lot of noise, and then the best way to exit without having to show any concrete proof is to just pretend that you died, because like that's the ultimate move, you know? So I feel like if I did that, right, I just like hired a few websites to fake my obituary and just have it posted everywhere and then say that Callie died mysteriously or whatever, Mentally Gone would just skyrocket. You know, like every account, every video would be like revisited and get like a bunch of clicks and views and stuff.
It's like an artist.
Right.
Yeah, their work gets better when they're dead.
Just like Mac Miller. Like I've never listened to Mac Miller as much as I have after his death, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but it's just the truth.
No,
like,
I'm the same exact way.
It just hits different.
You wish that there was more that you could hear, but you can't anymore.
100%. And then you kind of like hate yourself for like not accompanying the artist or just keeping up with them when he was alive. But yeah, like faking your death, I think it's a huge marketing move. But to my point, I feel like the fact that she continued posting TikToks almost as if nothing happened, I think it just shows that nothing has happened.
Yeah.
And then in one of the TikToks, he commented, and maybe he just forgot because I don't think these people are usually like very smart, like they're usually airheads. He commented something like saying like oh, like you're so hot, it's sexy, whatever. And then people like responded to his comment saying like, aren't you supposed to be dead or whatever? You know, like it's super strange. It's super strange because if my partner died, I would go MIA for like 5-10 years. Like I would just like be fucking depressed and just destroyed, you know? But then she's there like posting TikToks and whatever the fuck. So I don't think that one was real, but it was interesting though. It's just super, see, like that's why the whole like lore of conspiracy theories, it's so enticing and it just grasps you and just pulls you in because you want to believe so badly that there are like giants walking among us, but then you're like, but this guy might just be like a construction worker who just wanted his 15 minutes of fame. He realized that it was almost over, so he had to like create like an exit strategy, and he did, and now he's just a legend, you know? So it's pretty cool though. Like what he accomplished is pretty cool because we're here talking about him, you know? So it's whatever. But so that one is interesting that you brought it up because I actually had like an article open for it. So we already knocked that one out. I wanted to ask you if you heard about this thing, which I found pretty interesting. The World Economic Forum is urging everybody on the planet to only shower once a week with plans of slowly but surely kind of guiding everybody towards public bathing as a way to save water and to save the planet.
Never heard of that.
No?
No.
It was just recently announced. And if you couple that with the fact that they also want us to like eat insects and bugs, it's just a weird dystopian future.
Yeah, that's weird.
What do you think about eating like crickets and like cricket protein and like eating bugs and shit?
So I've eaten crickets and worms before.
Real crickets?
Yeah, they weren't alive. They were cooked.
But still, real crickets?
Real crickets.
And real worms?
Yes.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I think the worms tasted better than the cricket because with the crickets, you chew on it and you could just feel their legs in your mouth, like broken.
Yeah.
But it's not. They add flavor to the worms.
I was about to ask, like, what seasoning do you put on like a worm?
What was I think it was like a chili flavor.
Okay.
And the crickets was like garlic.
Garlic crickets.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That's so gnarly, dude.
So I'm very open on with eating things.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'll eat crickets again. The worms maybe again if I like go to like Indonesia or like I don't know in an area where they eat that a lot. I don't mind tasting their food.
Right.
I'm not picky with food. But to make it an everyday practice and like eat it every single day, I don't think so. There's better protein options too. Like I think that's unnecessary, especially with the showering too.
Right.
I don't know, like there's actors and actresses out there that shower like once a day. Once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah, and like it came out like a while ago, and they were like, oh, like I only like take a shower once a week, and everybody just started clowning the actor, and they're like, oh, you shower once a week. It's very vague. I forgot when it happened, and I forgot who it was to.
I think that has to be unhygienic.
Yeah.
For sure. But again, like that's what they do too, is that they use like actors and influencers to help push this agenda. And that's one of the reasons why another controversial subject that ties into that is speaking of actors trying to push agendas. I don't know if you've ever noticed how weird the kids of celebrities turn out to be.
Yeah.
It's just weird. Like you can get the top celebrities, especially those that have been in the limelight for some time, like Tom Hanks's kid, Chet Hanks, like he's a nutball, you know? He's like a rapper, tried rapping. He has like Illuminati tattoos all over him. He vocally says and outwardly speaks that his dad is like a active Illuminati member, and people just view him as crazy because that's what you do. And then Megan Fox, she had a son, and she began without the consent of the kid, obviously, because the kid doesn't really know what consent means and doesn't understand that he has choices or whatever. She started dressing him up as a girl.
Wow.
So from a very young age, she just decided that he was a girl, and she would display and parade him to the public. And it obviously generated a lot of controversy. It kept her in the limelight. It kept her relevant. But I just find that so strange though. Like that idea that like, celebrities are designed for that, you know, like that's why they're in the position they are, is because in my opinion, whenever you get these like groups that own everything like BlackRock or whatever the fuck it is, they, you know, leverage these pawns, and then they're like, all right, so you're gonna be used to push this gender bending ideology or whatever the fuck.
No, it's crazy how much influence a person has on the society,
especially nowadays.
And like they view them as, I don't know, higher or
gods.
Yeah, basically gods. And they'll do anything to like fit their agenda.
Which if you think back to like ancient Egypt, and when like pharaohs would have their own feasts and just parties and shit, and they were viewed as gods and considered as descendants of gods. And even priests, I think it was the Catholic Church, but even Catholic Church priests, they were considered rock stars, because up until the point where I think that they implemented that rule where priests can't have family and can't have sex, because of the fact that priests were just taking advantage of their position of power and just fucking and just having a bunch of kids like crazy, you know? And then the Catholic Church had to like step in and say like, no, like you can't take advantage of your power, and you have to be, I forgot what the name is, but you have to basically abstain, abstinence or whatever the fuck. And I forgot where I was going with this, but that's part of the podcast right there.
They have a lot of influence.
Yeah, a lot of influence. So I don't think anything really changed from that time to now. I think everything just became more exacerbated because of technology, you know, and like everybody has this crazy reach. Like even Mentally Gone, we're not like crazy famous or whatever, but we're starting to generate a little bit of interest with the public and a little bit of influence, if you will, you know? So like a video that gets over 1 million views, like it has kind of established influence on a select group of people that watch that. Like that's a given, you know, but that's what you do whenever you're on social media and you're listening to music, is you're being influenced all the time and just constantly, which is wild. It's crazy. But yeah, so
it's actually so crazy.
it just gets weird. It just gets freaky. But speaking of freaky and weird, another topic that we kind of want to really cover today is a topic that I've been thinking about ever since I turned 20, is the idea that you have to figure everything out while you're in your 20s. And people who are 20 something right now listening can probably relate to this, where after you turn 21, the whole world assumes that you're already a well-equipped adult that can figure it out, that can move out of the house, that can help pay the bill. It's like all of a sudden, all of these responsibilities fall on your shoulders. And
it's hard right now, nowadays.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's so hard. Like, I was talking to my dad the other day, and he feels bad for our like generation, because in the past, like, it was easy for a 20-year-old to get a job and like maintain, you know, a good paycheck to get their own place. But nowadays, everything with inflation, everything's expensive.
Right.
Like, I went to McDonald's with my friend the other day, and I don't really eat McDonald's, but I saw him order, and a whole meal was like $13. I was like, what?
$13 is crazy.
A McChicken is $2.50.
Right.
And I remember when it used to be $1.
A dollar menu was like all of McDonald's items were basically $1 menu.
Yeah. And there's no more dollar menu basically.
And I saw this TikTok of a guy who lives in the Bronx, I think, and he went to like his local deli mart or whatever, and everything was like hyperinflated. So like a carton of milk was like $10 or something like that. Yeah. Milk was like $10 or some shit. And yeah, like, to your point, I feel like back in your dad's day, I feel like it was also easier because we weren't being influenced as much. And now with this culture, which we touched on our last episode about like the whole hustle culture and like work ethic, and you have to be your own boss. And so we live in this age where getting a secure and basic normal job is kind of frowned upon. Because it's not as empowering for you to bag groceries versus being a follower of Gary Vee and hustling and working your ass off every single day. So it's not as honorable, if you will. But then back in the day, it's like if you're a coal mine worker, if you're a I don't know, like a fucking, like, what's like an old school job? I don't truck driver,
or like a salesman that goes door
to door salesman. Yeah.
Even then, back then, that was kind of a little frowned upon.
Yeah, because it was unstable.
Yeah.
And so people would like look at you and say like, oh yeah, like you're a door-to-door salesman, huh? So how much do you make a month? Oh, it depends. It varies. You know, like some months are better, some months are worse. But I guess we've always loved the idea of consistency, you know, which in my case too, like we struggle a lot with that, because there are months where we don't get anything from doing what we do, like almost like close to anything. And then there are months where we get a brand deal, and then it's like, oh, like this is a good month, but then it's just very unstable right now. And so like, that's the price you pay for like building anything, you know, like a business or anything like that.
Yeah. I feel like in your 20s, there's a lot of ups and downs, but it's good that it's happening in your 20s. Like, it's good to take risk in your 20s, I'm saying, because once you're 30,
it's over.
Your
life is over. All of the 30-year-olds are now listening to this like super depressed and shit, like, oh,
no,
shit.
It's still possible in your 30s, but the mistakes that you make in your 30s have more impact on your life than when you are 20.
True.
You know, so I just feel like I want to like segue into this. Like, we have a lot of limits that are not true. So I was looking at Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill, and he says that a lot of our limits that we don't do things, they're just fake limits. They're not there. We just think we're just putting that in our mind so we don't do it. You know, it's like a little
they're all constructs.
Yeah, it's like a little a blockage that you want, so you really don't want to do it. So I wanted to ask you, like, is there something that you wanted to do that you haven't done it yet?
That's a great question. That's a great question, because I just recently finished reading a book called The Obstacle is the Way.
Oh, I love that book.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I wrote down notes because I feel like I have to write down notes for like books like that. I have to, you know, like try to summarize everything in my head. And then after I finish reading a book, I'll like every single day I'll go back to those notes and then just reread them until they're deeply ingrained in my head, so that I can like draw from them from like memory and stuff. But that book kind of talks about that too, how your perceived limitations are always self-imposed, and they're all social constructs, right? Because the only thing that we have is now.
Yeah.
So who's to guarantee that after this podcast, any of us will exist anymore.
Yeah.
No one can guarantee that. Period. Like, you can't guarantee anything. So the only thing that you can guarantee is this moment right now with these words that I'm currently like uttering into this microphone, and these thoughts that I have, and this connection that I'm trying to develop through this show with you. It's like, that's all we have right now. And everything else is just a construct. And so it says that even by thinking about anything other than the moment, you automatically sabotage yourself because you take away from what you do have, and you give too much credence to what you don't have yet and maybe won't ever have. And so, like, answering your question, doing this podcast was one of those obstacles in my head because I'm very self-critical of myself, and I feel like things always have to be perfect, and that's one of my biggest problems is that I strive for perfection too much, and then
I'm the same way.
And then ironically, I get in my head after I do something while striving for perfection, I beat myself up because I view it as the complete opposite of perfection, and then that kind of demotivates me from even trying again. So like this episode, at the very beginning too, like I tried kind of like reassuring you, but it's more of a reassurance towards myself, saying that, oh, like I could just cut this part out or whatever. Sorry guys, if you know, because I just have to like constantly tell myself that it's okay to not be perfect, to not have a perfect episode, to not be the best speaker first time back doing the guest podcast because of things that I told you before we started about feeling nervous and just having this anxiety that's been built into me since I was a kid. So it's like all these obstacles, it's just accumulating. And then the way that I have to kind of just solve it is just by doing it.
Exactly.
So literally the way I solved it was by forcing myself, because it's nothing against you at all. It's not personal at all, but it was forcing myself to pick up my phone, reach out and see if you wanted to do an episode. And then if you did, it's like establishing a date, a concrete date where now I can't backtrack.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't bullshit my way out of this. Well, I can, right? Because I could just text you and say like, hey, like I can't do it today. How about we try to reschedule or whatever? But the whole goal now is just to let it happen. So
it's exactly like that. It says in the book, the obstacle is the way.
The obstacle becomes the way, yeah. And then you begin seeing the way in all things. And so that was an obstacle for me. Another obstacle has been like just creating content. Like I have a bunch of ideas in my head about like videos that I want to create that I think would perform well. But excuse me, it's just coffee burps. Like video ideas in my head that I know will perform well, but I just can't find the motivation to like actually sit down, turn on the camera and just do it. So like that's been my biggest enemy recently, especially with this podcast. And then that just translates to everything else. It's like a TikTok, it's like a video, it's like anything.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, why do you think you can't find that motivation?
I think I know the exact answer to that, and it's gonna sound a little bit dark, but I think it's just because of like the constant disappointment that I've been like exposed to in the past. You know, like I've tried the whole like opening a gym thing, you know, like I went down that route, dedicated like the pivotal moments of my life, like the youngest moments of my life, sacrificed going out, sacrificed developing friendships, like things that I regret today, like looking back in retrospect, for this thing that didn't amount to anything.
Yeah.
So putting all that energy, all that time, all that effort, pouring my soul into something, and then just for it to not demonstrate any fruits. And so that created like this PTSD, this defense mechanism internally, where even without realizing it, I just kind of like do it instinctively, where I just think to myself, like what if the same happens with this podcast? Yeah. Like what if the same happens with creating content? Everything goes to shit, and then I have to like figure out a real job. I have to like figure out my life, because I can't just. So I've like thought about all of that. Like when we got our TikTok hacked, that was a huge blow. It was like I was already like super depressed. If I'm being honest, I was already depressed, but I'm a functioning depressive person. Like I'm a functional depressive or whatever you call it. So I can be high functioning, I can be highly social, but my battery drains quickly.
Yeah.
So if I wasn't depressed, then I would have like an infinite amount of just charge and just range to like perform and operate within. which was me in high school, where I was just like this guy who was like highly social. I was always the guy who people would look to like organize parties, to like organize the bitches and the fucking drinks and everything else. And so I was always that guy that was just always in control, loved people, loved just hanging out, parties, friends all the time. But then because of the whole fiber thing, like, and because I moved from one country to another, I just didn't put effort into that. So I just kind of poured it into, into building the whole business thing.
Yeah.
And so I forgot what the question was.
No. Why don't you have that motivation?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I would say that it's just largely that.
The PTSD, and you don't want to
It's just fear of failure.
Yeah, fear of failure. And I think my whole point in this was to backtrack and see like those reasons are illogical and they're kind of dumb. Like in the grand scheme of things, yeah, of course, like everybody's gonna fail, but a lot of people won't move forward because of that fear. You just got to conquer that fear and just go do it. Like for example, for me, like my thing is cold calling. I'm in real estate now. And I don't want to cold call.
Cold calling is the worst.
Yeah, it's you never spoke to these people, and it's not the fear of rejection, because I really don't care about getting rejected. It's the fear of not knowing what to say to them. Like, because I want to be logical and I'm a logistics guy. I like to give facts about the market and the area they live in, and I don't want to mess up the script and telling them like, oh, I don't know how much your house goes for. And
I'm gonna have to look that up. Could you give me yeah? It's like being prepared.
Yeah, I want to be prepared. Yeah. Like I don't like not being prepared.
Right.
And obviously, like that, it's a dumb thing to not cold call. Like to solve that, I just have to keep on practice my script, keep on calling, go through that experience. I'm gonna fail from one call to another, but with like repeated action, I'm gonna get better and better at it. And this past year, I realized that a lot of these things that you could like succeed in, all you got to do is just do it.
Yeah,
it's just
start doing it.
Yeah, just start doing. Like some days, everybody has those days that you don't want to do things. It's like going to the gym. Like you really don't want to do these things, but if you just conquer your mind and just do it without thinking, without hesitating, you're just gonna complete it, and you go leaps and beyond from a lot of people that don't do it at all.
Yeah. It's just crazy to me because like while you were saying that, I just got like low key goosebumps and shit, because to me it's just wild considering that like I'm not going to say that everything happens for a reason, because again, like I don't know anything, nobody knows anything. Yeah. Is it God? Is it the universe? Is it Buddha, Allah? Who the fuck knows? Like nobody knows. But I like to believe that everything happens for a reason. And the fact that you are here today is just mind blowing to me right now, because even like you talking about certain conspiracies that I was just researching and just happened to like synchronize on that. And then you expressing this mindset and these troubles that you've been having also applied to the same exact struggles and problems I've been having. So your cold calling to me is just clicking record.
Yeah, exactly.
And just like putting myself out there, saying stuff, not being afraid of sounding stupid, of looking stupid, ridiculous, or whatever it is. And I feel like I couldn't relate more. It's just, it's all about the master. It's all about the art of mastering your mind and just mastering your perception. I feel like perspective and how you perceive certain things is the goal, to anything in life, I feel. So back in 2007, from 2016 to 2000, I want to say 18 or 19, I was working at this bioengineering anti-pollution company, and I would have to cold call too. But to me, it was even more complicated, I feel, just because I had that like new anxiety of being back in the US after years of now living here, of not speaking English, of not understanding, how to use certain words and how to basically talk to other people. And so I part of my job was also cold calling and trying to sell them on scrub towers, and I forgot all of the products that the company was selling. But it took me a long time to get the hang of it, where I would just call, and then I just kind of like developed a script for myself because I felt that that was the best way. So like similar to you, I had like a full script kind of like laid out where I knew exactly how to like from just saying hello. It's like, hello, my name is whatever. So everything was like written out. And then I would leave like a large room where I kind of like went through every possible scenario of what that person could say. And so if they said like, no thanks or whatever, or I'm going to have to check in with whatever, I would like stem it out. And then this is what I would say in response. And that was the only way that I could like get through that process, because I just had to feel like I had some form of control versus just feeling like I was in the hands of these people who I was calling, which is not the reality, but it's how I perceived it in my head.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that in like both ways, you know, like from also cold calling, but then also like doing and applying it to like other sectors of life. I feel like it's all about perspective, I feel, as corny as that is to say.
It is. You came back to the US in 2017?
Summer 2016.
Summer 2016.
July.
How was that transition?
It was wild. It was crazy wild. Just because of that though, it's like I left all of my friends, like high school friends, grade school friends. So like the people I grew up with and developed long-term like family ties with, I left them all in Brazil. So I came back with a few friends that, well, not friends, but a few people who I was friends with back in like kindergarten, grade school, up until the point where I moved back to Brazil. So how it goes is like, it's kind of like a crazy story, but not really. But when I was 1.5, my mom brought me to the US. We lived here until I was like 13, I want to say. And then from 13 to 18, no, from 12 to 18, I feel, I was living in Brazil. And then at 18, I decided that I wanted to come back because I wanted to go to college here. And so my mom was like, all right, so is this something you really want to do? You're actually going to go through with it? And then the irony is that I didn't go through with it. And then I said, yeah, absolutely. And I was just like so firm and just passionate about it. And it was one of the biggest decisions of my life. But I just felt this like need and just this like attraction towards the idea of just moving back. And so she was like, all right. And then everybody packed bags and then moved and then did the whole move back. So getting back here, it was just that whole like readaptation phase where I was familiar with stuff. I had memories of stuff. I knew how life worked here. But it was just like either way, I just had to like get back into the groove of things. You know?
Do you miss it, Brazil?
I miss the friendships.
Miss the friendships.
Yeah, like that's the main thing. And I actually recently just got a new phone, and my old phone it was just having a bunch of problems, so I couldn't even like download WhatsApp. I couldn't even like go back into like my old group chats and stuff. So I just recently got back into a group chat, and it just like filled this like void in my heart kind of, because I was just like needing that familiarity with people that I just know, like on like a deeper personal level. It's like these are people that I've spent hours and hours just like talking and just brainstorming and just having heart-to-hearts and just going through experiences, parties, crazy stuff, tests and failures and summer school and like all this shit. And so it just felt good to like just reconnect with those people, you know. And I feel like that's the one thing that I miss. So if I could have like a perfect reality, it would be if everybody just moved to like New Jersey. And then, yeah, that would be a perfect world for me, I feel.
You know, you were saying how like you like fell through with the whole college thing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's good because like you did it at a young age. Like let's say you were 30 and you did that. Like it's harder for like a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why it goes back to, you know, figuring everything out in your 20s, where it's like you don't know what's gonna happen next year or the year after. You know, there's going to be constant ups and downs, but in the end, I think everything's going to work out if you do it at an early age and you learn these ups and downs.
Yeah, which is why I think that both of us, like going through everything that we've gone through last year, like I think it's very important because of that too. It just builds character, I feel. And I have a bunch of friends who come from like super wealthy families whose like parents are like fucking richer than God and like do just crazy, like wealthy people. And they live a life of of maximum comfort, of like no stress almost, because they're able to just travel, constantly traveling. Every time I check their like Instagram, it's like they're in one country and then next week they're in another country, and they're like lavish food, and just, it's definitely a lifestyle that they've been accustomed to ever since they were born. And so those people, I don't envy them at all, because I feel like we have more in a lot of other aspects of life than they have in like materialistic things.
Yeah, there's a lot you can learn from hardships.
Yeah, and I feel like the biggest lessons in life, like they have to be learned through hardships. Like you can't pass that down to your kid. You can't sit them down, write it on a whiteboard, and then try to teach them that. Like they have to experience it firsthand.
Yeah, of course.
Which is why I think that we're privileged because of that. I feel people who go through that.
Yeah, because we have that intensity and drive that they don't have, because they just live in comfort. And I don't know if you've realized, but a lot of people that come from like poor families and they like grow up to be rich and stuff, they want to be the best. You notice that they're crazy. Like, what's his name? Kuzma, the UFC fighter.
Oh yeah, Guzman.
He's Russian, I believe.
Yeah.
He was saying how like, oh, I'm gonna be the best. I'm gonna be the best, and you have to be crazy. He was like, oh, I'm crazy, and everybody's like, well, that's not something you want to flaunt about. He's like, no, that's something you do want to flaunt about, because if you notice, the crazy people are the most successful because they want it that bad.
Right.
It's all about intensity, and you know he comes from a poor family too, and I feel like living a life of comfort, you don't get that. You don't get that hardship. You don't get that intensity, that drive, that hunger. And that's why I agree with you that we are privileged to live through this, and we know the difference between the two, rather than like somebody who grew up living comfortably.
Right. And I feel like, to your point too, is that like experiencing all that and gathering all that knowledge and that wisdom in your 20s will make you just like completely stand out in your 30s, you know? And that's something that I also wanted to share is how much anxiety I feel like I've gained from turning 25.
Yeah.
Because in my head, it's like, fuck, like I have 5 more years before I'm 30.
I'm turning 25 in 2 weeks, so.
That's crazy. Like, to me, it's just such it's supposed to be like a celebratory thing. It's, you know, like you're turning 25, 25 years of life, and it's supposed to be something positive, which it is. But at the same time, you're like, fuck, man, it's like 5 more years and I'm 30. I still haven't figured out my life yet. I feel even more urgency, but not in the good sense. It's like more bad urgency than good urgency.
Yeah.
And it's just this like extra added stress of like, oh, like how do I figure this out, and how do I make this work by 30 years old? Can I make it work in 1 year? Can I make it work in 2 years? It's just a lot. It's just a lot of pressure all the time, you know?
You just got to go at your own pace. A good example is my sister. You know, she started off in college and want to be like a forensic scientist, and she loves history, so she wanted to go into history. And she still loves all those things and stuff, but now she's 32, going to be 33 this year, and she started going to medical school like 2 or 3 years ago.
Wow.
And now she's an RN, and she got her own place last year, and you know she's making a lot of money, and you know you could still do that at 30.
Yeah,
you at your own pace. You know, there's no time limit. There's people who become millionaires at 40 or 50.
Most people, which is what I kind of like reading about, because it gives me like some sense of like reassurance too. But I think it's like Walt Disney got rejected multiple times, and then it wasn't until he was like 40 or 50 years old where he finally got his like big shot. And then he quickly developed and like grew into what he was and what he became rather. And then J.K. Rowling too, like in her 40s is when she wrote Harry Potter after multiple attempts at writing a novel that got rejected. She finally came up with one that got approved, and then it became what it is now. And it's like, it's good to remind ourselves of what you said. It's like 30 years old. I know that for the bulk of this episode, we've been like shitting on like the idea of being 30.
Yeah.
But I feel like when we turn 30, we'll realize that we're still super young, because I feel like 30 years old is still super young if you really think about it. I think that the cutoff it starts getting like a little downhill after you're 50 maybe, because like 50 years old, like there's not much you could do.
You probably lived more than half your life already at 50.
Right. If you haven't figured out your life by 50, then I don't know what you're doing. You know, like you kind of have to. But if we're 25 and we give ourselves that idea that we have 25 more years, then it becomes more doable. You know, it just eases our anxiety a little bit, which, yeah, I don't know. But what do you like plan on like what's a perfect 50-year-old birthday for you? Like, what do you have? Who are you? What have you accomplished? What are the people that surround you at the table?
Yeah.
Where's this table located? Is it at like a Michelin star restaurant? Is it at a farmhouse? Is it, you know, like what is your reality at 50 years old?
My reality at 50. What is that, 25 years from now?
Yeah. Another whole existence on top of it.
Well, I would love my friends and family to be there. You know, I would hope they're all healthy and doing good with their lives.
Yeah.
Have my own family there. It would probably be at my own place. Because at 50, I plan on being rich. I want to have a lot of money.
Of course.
Yeah, we all
do, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it goes underrated. People, they want materialistic things.
Mm-hmm.
I just want a chef and a cleaner.
A chef is a nice concept to have, yeah.
So I would want a chef there cooking our meals, have a big table with my friends and family, you know, celebrate life. Probably in Texas. Yeah, Texas is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I want to be a great influence and like worldwide. I want to be a great influence, you know. As I said in the last podcast, I want to go into technology field, change different ways in how we use technology, become more innovative in that, and you know, in a positive impact. I want to do that. I want to do a lot of I can't even say it. Philanthropic.
Yeah, I can't say that word
philanthropic things. You know, help like.
Philanthropy.
Yeah, philanthropy.
Yeah.
I want to help a lot of communities, whether if it's in the U.S. or, you know, in South America or in Africa. I want to help a lot of them, you know, create schools for them, have food and water for them. Mm-hmm. I want to have a big impact in this world. And I know in life you don't really need that. A lot of people, 99% of people are not going to make an impact. Mm-hmm. And that 1% will. And I'm not saying that I need to have that impact. I don't mind if I don't do that impact.
But it's the aspiration towards it. It's the grind towards it.
Yeah, it's the grind towards it. Yeah. And, you know, I want to inspire people to do that. To even if I'm not the best at doing it, mm-hmm. if I could get 100 people to like give and donate, mm-hmm. you know, I feel like I'm successful in that. So that's my 50, you know, have the people around me that love me and I love them. Everything genuine. Nothing bad.
Genuine is a good thing to kind of like take along with you, because I feel like it's so easy for you to lose yourself in life, especially, you know. And I think that that's one of the lessons and the many teachings that like Hardships kind of give you, is that you stay true to who you are. Mm-hmm. You know, I feel like people who win the lottery and they just win at life and they get everything handed to them, it's very easy for you to not know who you are, because everything's constantly changing around you. But if you stay in a place, even if it's a dark place, and all you have is this opportunity to kind of better understand yourself throughout that process, because you don't have much else, then once you start rolling your proverbial boulder up that hill, everything around you changes. You stumble across new landscapes or whatever, but the core of who you are stays the same. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's one of the main lessons, I feel, because I feel like even when I was aspiring to do the whole gym thing, I felt like I don't know if I could recognize myself, you know, like I'll like try to look back and stuff and like see who that person was, but I don't recognize them. Because I feel like at that time, things were a little too easy, because I had 2 other partners and everybody was like set, and everything was good. Everything was already figured out. There were like loans already in place, and like money was secured, funding, everything was good. Life was great. So all we cared about was how do we make this successful? how do we then expand? And like 2 years from now, we'll open the second one, and then everybody's going to be rich. Everybody's going to do this and that. So it was very easy to get lost in that because all we had was time to think about these like changes in life rather than like internal changes, if that makes sense. Because there was no like real need to, you know, like we had no real need to like struggle or do anything like that. And so that was an interesting thing. And then now I feel like I know myself a little too much, like too much for comfort even at times, where I'm just like, oh, like I just need to like escape myself a little bit.
Yeah.
I need to take a break from myself a little bit. I need to escape into work, into leisure, into something, because otherwise I'm just too much into who I am, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's just, I think, I don't know,
like breaking that cycle of who you are is really good.
Yeah.
It's just like my shirt. You got to seek discomfort at times.
Seek discomfort, it says?
Yeah.
I don't have my glasses,
Yeah,
but
you have to
exactly
seek discomfort at times, and seeking that discomfort will, you know, open a lot of doors for you.
Yeah.
To new things.
Yeah, I feel like it's just necessary. It just really is. I don't think that you can do anything substantial without it. And I don't trust people who haven't gone through their fair share of like trials and tribulations. Like I can't trust them, because to me it's like every advice that they give you is like, oh dude, like why are you stressing out? It's okay, it's gonna pass. I'm like deep down inside I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like you have no idea what this feels like. You have no idea what I'm going through. You've never had to experience anything like that. And that's one of the reasons why I think also I just kind of became like a hermit in like 2022, where I just like enclosed myself. I just stayed in this basement, obviously, and that contributes a lot to like depression and shit, because all you see every day is like the same walls and the same whatever, and you're alone, and you just like bar out everybody from your life, and you don't allow anybody to get like close to you, including podcast guests, like anything. It's just like this thing that I can't control, that just takes a hold of me. But then the final realization is that you can control it, or you can't control it, but you can fight against it by just taking small steps towards escaping that world, I guess. And I tend to ramble incoherently. Like I don't even know like what train of thought I started on, but that's the whole point of this podcast, is just, you know, like just say what we feel and say what we think, and then hopefully, maybe, if not hopefully, because I honestly don't care if anybody listens to like these, because like my goal again is just to reconnect. It's just to connect with people, and
you know, if anybody who listens are going through the same thing, you know,
then they'll like see, you know, like some wisdom in like something that we said, or
and they're not alone in this too. Right. A lot of people are going through this and they feel alone, when in reality there are millions of people in their 20s feeling this exact same way.
And to your point, there's this psychiatric term I say I feel a lot, which I just want to talk about real quick. Americans are the only people who say I feel
really a lot.
It's like whenever you say something, you usually say, I feel like this is unfair. I feel like I kind of want pizza. I feel like this is wrong. I feel like the government is spying on us. I feel like hardships are stupid. Yeah. It's like, it's just always, I feel. And I think that contributes a lot to just how unstable everybody is emotionally, especially in America. And then that just creates like this snowball effect where like people just lose themselves in like vices, especially like eating. A lot of Americans are overweight, obese, clinically obese. And it's just because like we've been taught and conditioned to basically assimilate everything through our emotions. And so our emotions get very taxed very easily. So it just gets worn out and it just doesn't know what to do with all these feelings, instead of reserving it for real feelings and real emotions and real problems and filtering it through that. But I just think that that's very interesting. You know,
about to say it.
Yeah, I was about to say it, but I caught myself. I was like, I think it's very interesting. But anyway, so in psychiatry, there's this terminology. I forgot what the name exactly is, but the whole idea is that there are, no matter how big you think you are, whenever you obviously put that in perspective to how vast the universe is, it just basically calms your ego and just reassures it and just basically puts it back in its place where it's like, relax, you're a pretty big shot, but in comparison to the universe, you're just nothing. Like you're basically just a blip in this vastness of everything.
Yeah,
and so
some people, they don't practice that humbleness.
Yeah,
They just get too ahead of themselves.
And that's where you have like narcissistic people and just self-centered in general, you know, because even if you get like Michael Jackson, for example, huge, larger than life, godlike superstar, well, one of the biggest ones that ever existed, I feel. But in comparison to like everything else, he was just a blip too, you know, like he came, he did his thing, and then he left, and now he's gone, and all that's left is like what he did. But what he did, when you just zoom out and just keep zooming out, it's just a speck of dust. It's like, it's literally nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's reassuring, but it can also be very depressing to think about. But I think it's more reassuring for me, at least. I'm like trying to like...
I think it's more to show that, you know, we had to like live in the moment and not worry about the future too much, because we can't control the future.
Yeah,
honestly, we can't.
can't.
I was I think it was a Vsauce. It was a video of Vsauce.
Vsauce is hilarious.
Yeah. He was saying how we died 3 times, and at first it's the first initial death. You know, you die and everybody's there. The second time you die is when somebody speaks of you, and you know it's gonna be the last person that speaks of you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's gonna be that one last person that speaks. Oh, like I remember Ferdinand,
like great grandchild or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third time is, now that we have media and photo, is the last time somebody sees you through that media. And they're gonna be like, oh, who is that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. That's this somebody from like the 21st century.
Right.
And you know, it's reassuring to myself to live in the moment, because that doesn't matter. Like,
yeah,
you know, I could create an impact, and in 1,000 years that impact is gonna be nothing.
Right.
So, you know, it's reassuring to live in the moment and enjoy what we have right now.
And it's also reassurance for you to pick up the phone and do cold calls, because nobody's going to remember. Like, that person is already going to forget about that interaction by the time dinner comes, you know? So that's something else that I've always struggled with, is the perception that people have of me, and the fact that I can't really control it, but I try to control it to the best of my capabilities. But sometimes even doing that kind of restrains and like cripples your own expression, right? So I could try to force a certain character every time a guest walks into my house, but I'm just giving you me. It's like, I'm just giving you who I am. I'm trying my best to like not be an anxious, nervous wreck every time. I'm trying to like figure it out and like stay composed and like try to, you know, gear a conversation. Not saying that I do it alone, but like try my best to be a host.
Yeah.
But then I try to put that all on the back burner and just let myself kind of take control fully, and then whatever comes as a product of that is genuine. It may not be great, it may not be perfect, but it's not scripted. It's not this radio personality voice. It's not this this alter ego that I've created, which a lot of people do. Like, they create alter egos and then they kind of become those people whenever they are put into certain circumstances, you know, because it's their way of coping with it. It's like a lot of pressure, and then it's just hard to perform or whatever. But I feel like the reassurance is just that, is that everybody listening to this, even if it's not a great performance from my end, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what matters is like the experience. It's the conversation. It's the ideas. So a lot of stuff that you've said today, I'm going to sit with, and then I'm going to start reading a book today. I think today's the day that I started like a new book. And then that automatically, like everything you said is in the back of my mind. And then it just adds itself to the mental filter that I have now, spiritual filter, emotional filter. It just keeps on adding to it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
And yeah, I don't know if anything I said made sense, but that's just, yeah.
20s, it's a wild time.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not even halfway through it yet. I'm about to be halfway through it. But I'm excited for that ride, and what those years are gonna be like. And speaking of which, I know in these next coming years, there's gonna be a lot of AI stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot.
That thing, I actually love the concept of AI. I know people are like, oh, it's gonna
scared.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared. They're like, oh, it's gonna destroy humanity. It's like some Ultron.
Yeah,
some from
Skynet.
Avengers. Yeah, Skynet.
Yeah,
but I think it'll help people a lot too. Like an AI might find cures to diseases that we never thought of, because it's a simulation. It's gonna simulate all the different things that you could put in medicine. The thing is, it's also controlled by the government. You don't know if the government is going to give you that cure or not.
If you could trust it.
Yeah. But right now, like one of my visions is for this year is to learn Web3. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Web3, I've heard of it. I don't really understand it, but I've
yeah,
heard of
it's really confusing. It's a decentralization, which is basically like you can't get tracked on what you're doing. You know? Because when you're using Web2, the basic internet right now, there's a lot of ads. Like you're basically getting surveyed, and like you get ads on what you said. Like, oh, like I was just speaking about this. Why am I seeing an ad like that? Well, Web3, it's all private. You're not gonna get those ads. And it's a lot of with crypto. I feel like crypto is fighting off the government because they don't want government to control our money.
Right.
But then at the same time, do we actually know if it's them? Like, we don't know if the government is actually controlling the crypto.
Like, what if they're the ones that created the whole story and the whole like mythos of the guy who founded Bitcoin? Apparently, he's like a Jesus figure who like disappeared off the face of the planet.
We don't even know who created Bitcoin.
Yeah, nobody knows. People speculate that it's Elon Musk himself. People joke, like we just don't know.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the government, because of the whole like Bin Laden was apparently a CIA operative at one point, and it's been confirmed by the CIA. And so then you like piece stuff together. You're like, damn it, like they've always been famous for creating like controlled opposition is essentially what it's called, which people are now saying that like Kanye West is controlled opposition, Andrew Tate. So it's hard for you to trust anything and anyone, especially when it comes to those things. But yeah, I could see benefit in AI for sure. I could see how it could like simulate 1 million possible scenarios in a nanosecond and then serve you the plausible ones and the ones that are actually practical versus hiring like a group of 1,000 scientists, putting them inside of a building and then giving them a month to like figure it out,
Yeah, there's like that too reality where people think it's like, 1984 or the other reality where people will feel safe in their homes because, AI is protecting them. For example, like self-driving cars. If every car was self-driving, there would be no accidents.
There wouldn't be an accident, yeah.
But,
But then people are scared that people will hack into their car.
Hack into the car and control where they drive.
Or whether they can drive.
Yeah.
If like a martial law is ever implemented, then if you have a Tesla, you probably won't be able to like use it to get anywhere.
Yeah, and the thing is like, it will also not be beneficial for insurance companies because if there's no crashes, how are they going to get money from them? So everything works in ways where it's like, it all contradicts each other.
Everything is corrupted by self-interest, right? Because even insurance companies, like they're big lobbyists whenever there's like a political campaign or whatever, like they'll lobby for the candidate who will basically accept their deal of like, don't push electric cars yet, and Ford, Toyota, well, not Toyota, but like American car companies, like they've been big lobbyists towards trying to keep that grasp on engines.
Yeah.
Just like oil engine cars. But now all of them are kind of pivoting because there's no escape from it. Like that's just the future because it's better, it's more efficient, it's quicker and stuff. Would you get a Tesla? Like, do you plan on getting an electric car?
Do
you have a Tesla?
I want to get an electric car because I feel like it's cheaper than gas.
It's cheaper than gas, and gas like spikes up and down too. Like it's kind of hectic. It's pretty wild.
Like 2 months ago it was like 4 something, and now it's like
crazy
lower 3s. It's crazy. It's like the stock market.
It's wild, yeah. So you would trust it?
Yeah, I would trust it.
Yeah.
If I die, if they hack my car and I die, I can't do anything about that.
Right.
I'm gonna enjoy my electric car.
And then it goes back to the whole like living in the moment too. It's because I feel like especially I think that especially with the whole conspiracy thing and people who are listening, they probably come from Instagram and or TikTok, and they're probably used to the whole conspiracy theories and stuff. But I feel like it's so easy for you to get caught up in that world, which is what I'm really practicing awareness of, is to not lose myself in that world.
Yeah.
Although I do like indulging in conspiracies, I like thinking outside the box. I like talking about possible theories and possible realities of things, but I don't want that to dictate my life, where you can't enjoy a Tesla because you're thinking about like 10 years from now when Elon Musk can hack your car and the government is going to buy out Tesla and then they're going to own that software or whatever the fuck it is. But I feel like living in the moment is the best thing to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree with you.
And then as you go, unless it targets you and like hurts you personally, then you should just like keep it rolling, you know, and just like deal with it as it comes. I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of like Instagram and stuff, in Web3, there's like some programmers. Well, Web3, you got to learn it. It's like coding, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's like some JavaScript stuff, it's all encrypted. But they're trying to create a social media for Web3. And I know there's multiple. There's one that's called BitClout.
BitClout.
Yeah. So basically, like, you could be a creator. It's good for like small creators. You could be a creator, and you could like tweet, put videos, photos, and people could give you crypto coins or essentially money. They give you money for being popular, and it helps like small creators that want to grow. Like, oh, I really like how you tweet. I'm gonna give you some donation. Right. You don't have to worry about ad-based stuff.
Right.
So I feel like Web3 is the next good thing that's gonna happen with all of us. You know, everything's private. And they already have like Facebook is already in Web3. There's like private Facebook, private Twitter, and
I don't know.
You know, it's pretty cool. And AI is gonna be it's gonna be in that. I don't know. AI is huge. Yeah. AI is gonna be really big.
Which to me, like, that's a big problem of just being a creator. You know, is that you kind of have to be at the mercy of these like companies, and you have to kind of lend your platform for advertisements and just being, you know, spokespeople for companies that sometimes you don't even want to like collaborate with them, but you have to for the sake of making ends meet, you know. But if they ever figured out a way where they could normalize the idea of people contributing and like people kind of like tipping or
it's like a
subscribing, Patreon, yeah, or just monthly subscriptions, just like Patreon. Like, I think that there would be way more quality control in terms of content creators because I feel like, in my opinion, like, this is my conspiracy, but the main popular content creators that we see, especially in the age of TikTok, a lot of them are like subsidized by these companies who want to use them as their like little puppets for their brand and stuff. And so they make them these huge stars and they kind of like back them up throughout the whole journey. So the TikTok dancers and like all that bullshit, I feel like it's way easier for them, and like that's how it's kind of designed. But I don't think that people want to consume their content as much as it's being portrayed to us. Like they're not as popular as they seem.
No, I agree with that.
Right, because like I don't do it. I don't know anybody who like loves that type of content. But my point being is that there are other creators who create great content, but they don't get the exposure that they deserve because maybe they don't have enough time to like put into that craft because they have to manage a second job to make ends meet. So if there's a way to like solve for that, where that audience is responsible for sustaining this creator that gives them value, then there's that like value arbitrage and that value exchange, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that I'm still trying to figure out too, because like we've thought about doing a Patreon, but I don't want it to like come off as like money grab.
Yeah, you don't want to be like, oh, if you want to see this, subscribe to our Patreon. You don't want to be like that.
So I still want to keep this momentum going. I don't want to hide everything behind a paywall and then all of a sudden just press the brakes, you know, radically, and then just tell everybody, hey, all right, so no more free treats for you guys. You got to pay, and then just charge them $10 a month for content that they were getting for free. So again, then it comes into like the whole work amount and the whole workload, editing and everything, and then you have to come up with like new content, and it's just a whole thing. But having the people decide whether or not you are worthy, I think is way better than having a company.
No, I agree with that.
So
because you know you got to follow their rules and
be like squeaky clean and shit.
If you mess up, you're out and you lose all your money.
I hate that shit so much. This idea, and we've gotten offers from like companies that like wanted that a little bit, It's like, oh, like, yeah, like we'll work with you, but then you can't post about this and you can't say this word and you can't cuss and you can't do this. I'm like, nah, I don't think that's worth it, honestly.
Yeah, you got to be very organic into yourself.
Yeah.
Always follow your gut, you know.
That's a good, yeah. Yeah, I think following your gut is always the best move, I feel. And it's just weird too, because I've been like recently just really working on gut health, you know, and I feel like it's made a huge difference in my life in terms of just clarity of thinking. And it's really true. Like that saying has a lot of truth to it, you know, like follow your gut, trust your gut. But I feel like, again, like a lot of people's guts are just contaminated by just processed foods and bullshit. But yeah, so
I'm in that journey too. I'm trying to
just like clean it.
Yeah, clean my gut. There's a lot of bacteria that lives there. Sometimes you got to shock it. It's not good bacteria.
And another thing that I've been trying to do is like work out more often, because ironically, like I used to be a person who would work out every single day, like 6 times a week. And then now I've been working out once every week, once every 2 weeks. And it's just, I feel like that makes a big difference too. It's just like lifting weights and just trying to get in the gym as much as possible.
A lot of aspects that we talked about today can be applied to everything, including the gym.
Right.
So
obstacles.
The obstacles.
Obstacle is the way, I think, is the main topic of this episode. The obstacle is the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I was before we started the podcast, we were talking about the character AI.
Oh yeah.
I know. I urge everybody to use it. It's so fun, but it's weird because you're like, wow, this is not a real person I'm talking to.
But it seems like
it seems like you could talk to Elon Musk. I was saying Gandhi, Socrates. You could talk to like a mental health coach there, and it sounds legit. And if it feels like you are talking to these people, but it's not.
And it's actual like real life advice and and practical information.
Like the psychologists, they would dig deep on the root of your problem. They're like, oh, so like, why do you feel like this? And you answer the question like, oh, so you're going through this and that. But you think if you did this differently, like that would help you? And you're like, wow, I never thought about that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm going to try it just to get free therapy, because I feel like everybody needs to go to therapy.
Yeah, I've gone to the point where like I'm using ChatGPT or Character AI more than Google.
Wow.
And I've realized this the other day that that ChatGPT or OpenAI was invested by Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah, they invested billions of dollars into it.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and now they're probably going to implement that into Bing, and Bing is probably going to compete with Google like really heavily, because AI is going to destroy SEO. I don't know if you know what that is.
Search engine optimization?
Yeah, basically that. So you won't get the ads in the beginning of your Google search anymore.
Right.
You're going to get exactly what you're searching. So people think that Google is going to lose its power, which is good, because we need competition. We can't have like a monopoly of everything.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that transition.
I'm excited for AI as long as they don't start doing like AI podcasters and stuff, you know, because I feel like that's what I'm betting all my chips on, is just this long-term podcasting. And as long as which I saw recently too, that they've been creating these digital idols essentially. They did that with the digital rapper FN Mecca.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
So he came through, he created music, he did like a whole marketing campaign, and now they're creating digital influencers that brands are now basically giving brand deals to, because they'll just essentially be easier to control and act exactly in a way that optimizes sales for those brands. So hopefully people just don't accept that, you know, and they still love hearing other human beings and interacting with other human beings. And as long as that's still preserved, then I feel like I'm okay with the future. You know? I just don't want people to be like, all right, you know, computer generated everything is best, and fuck humans. I don't care about humans anymore, and we're gonna live in like cyberpunk 2077, and like that's gonna be life. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like that's a good move.
What do you?
No, go.
I was gonna say, what do you feel about NFTs?
NFTs, I tried creating an NFT through Blender. I think I tried it in 2021. and I was not successful because I can't figure out Blender. Blender is just super complicated. I tried creating a donut, right? Because like that's usually the first tutorial and stuff, and I just couldn't create the donut, and I just quit. I was like, oh fuck, I can't do this. But I feel like if I just disciplined myself and kind of like devoted more time towards it, I could figure it out a little bit. But it takes like years and years for you to get to a point where you're just super proficient at it, and you're creating entire worlds and like universes. And it also takes like a crazy amount of time for it to like render to, you know, like a short HD clip with a lot of information.
Yeah, you need a really good computer for stuff like that.
Yeah, and I don't think my computer can handle that. So NFTs are interesting. I've heard a lot of like scams, you know, about how celebrities back a certain coin, a certain NFT, and then it just turns out to be a scam.
Like the Logan Paul one that just happened.
Logan Paul, Gary Vee was also implicated in a few. And so it could be like an easy way to launder money, just like art is, like modern art. So like that's how I kind of see it, as just a way to launder money. I don't know.
So you don't agree with it or anything?
I don't agree or disagree. I feel like it's owning art. But for you to start owning art, it's usually to like take advantage of like tax evasion, which I've had like a few wealthy mentors in the past, and like they even confessed to that. Like they said blatantly that they don't really care much about art, but they buy it because they'd rather do that than pay this amount.
They would pay to buy that art just to donate it to a charity.
Right, donate it to a charity.
Get that tax write off.
Or create a charity, and that's why a lot of like billionaires are off into the idea of like giving away money and shit. So I don't agree or disagree. I think it's just a modern version of art.
Yeah.
You know? What do you think about it?
Well, I feel like everybody feels like it's a new thing, but it's been here for a long time. For example, there's a video game called CSGO.
CSGO.
It's a very, very popular video game, and it's been around for more than 10 years, I think. But it's like this. Have you ever heard of Valorant?
Valorant?
Yeah, it's like it's elimination 5v5, and you need to work as a team to like defuse, and it's like search and destroy basically.
So it's kind of like Counter-Strike.
Yeah, like CS:GO, Counter-Strike.
Oh, CS:GO is Counter-Strike.
Yes, CS:GO is Counter-Strike.
Oh, CS:GO.
CS:GO.
I heard CS:GO. I'm like, CS:GO, like what is that?
Yes,
CS:GO, of course.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
So in Counter-Strike, there's a marketplace for knives. I don't know if you know about that. And people would sell these knives, these digital knives, for thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, you're spending $1,000 just to get that knife variant.
Right.
And people actually spend this money, and that's an NFT. You don't own the thing in real life.
Right.
You own that knife color.
You own the code that represents that object that's supposed to simulate an object in real life.
Yeah, and people, they will resell it for money too. And I don't know, I'm indifferent about NFTs. It's sometimes I can see it being silly. People have these monkeys or like different types of monkeys.
Which I don't know if you heard about that conspiracy theory about how the Boring Ape NFTs, they were supposed to be a vehicle for racism, essentially.
Really?
Yeah, and then neo-Nazis were kind of like behind their like widespread acceptance, essentially, and it fooled every like huge celebrity, like Stephen Curry, Snoop Dogg had one.
Wow.
Neymar, Justin Bieber, everybody was buying into this idea, but nobody really stops to ask about like what the meaning is, because and I think it just proved a brilliant point too. It's like it's such a status symbol at times that people don't care what it is. It's like they just want to be included in that conversation, to be a part of that group. So every major celebrity that has millions and millions, like they were like, oh, I want to participate. And then later they went to find out that like, I forget like what the story is, but it's definitely like something about neo-Nazis.
Yeah, it's
pretty wild.
A lot of stuff happens behind the scenes with a lot of rich people. I was listening to the CEO. I think he was the CEO of Big Clout. I just talked about that, social media. And he was saying that he had a meeting with a lot of like celebrities that they don't announce that they're going to these meetings. They invest in these companies without anybody knowing. So like, for example, I think Kim Kardashian was there, and he basically like sold the idea of like starting a big cloud account and, you know, being a big influencer there and get money off of people and stuff. So
that's so slimy though, you know, like it's behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Everything's already established.
But it's
yeah, that's
it makes sense sometimes because you need some influencers to back it up so people could join the platform. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's crazy out there. All these celebrities that do stuff behind the scenes and billionaires. And
to me, like, it's just weird too. Well, not weird, but it's kind of like unfair because fuck, I forgot the name of the thing. But the playing field is already set before it's released to the public, and so like they already established these like major players like Kim Kardashian and whoever the fuck it is. So it's gonna claim to be different than like traditional social media, but then you go on it and the same people are big, and it's the same kind of like cycle of just like social status and stuff, and like that's what kind of like swayed me away from like social media in the past is just that like that idea of like everything is status based, you know, like I just want a social media app where it's just like value based, which is what this new social media app could become because people decide if that's, you know, going to be something that's worthwhile. And so maybe Kim Kardashian goes on it and then everybody's just sick and tired of her and then nobody pays her anymore. And then she realizes, oh, like this isn't worth my time, and she gets off, and then it just keeps it for those people that actually deserve it, you know? So hopefully that's the case. But knowing people, they just love idols.
I would hope like everybody gets on it and then a lot of small creators come in and it's like TikTok, how TikTok was in the beginning.
Yeah, now it sucks. It sucks because it just got consumed by all the community guidelines. People would post like clips of other people getting murdered, of like accidents, decapitation videos and shit. And then now it's like if you say a certain word, you're deplatformed and you have to stick into this little fucking guide rail that they have. Yeah,
you know what's crazy? It's supposed to be all kid friendly on TikTok and stuff. But then you slide like a few videos.
I think I know what you're gonna say.
And you just see girls practically nude.
Yeah, just naked girls, like essentially that. Yeah. And then every other live video, because as you scroll, you'll like skip over live videos.
Yeah.
And it's always like a girl in like short clothing and just like in like awkward positions
I
getting
feel like
ready or whatever.
It's like the same thing what happened with Twitch, where it's like the pool. How everybody would be in bikinis in their pool on Twitch.
Right.
Everybody's like, this is a gaming site. Yeah. Why are there people in pool and like in their bikinis and like Twitch, the representatives of Twitch, they allowed it and stuff. Only girls could do it and stuff. They don't get, you know, punished for doing something. But it's just so dumb.
It's wild. And the same thing happened with the girl who had sex on stream. I don't know if you heard about that.
Nah.
But she got banned for only a week while like other bigger creators on the platform got banned for like certain ideological beliefs or whatever.
Yeah.
And she was literally fucking on stream, and then she got like a huge bump from that, and then she came back and then just continued as usual.
Wild.
You know? It's just crazy. It's like, what do you have to do nowadays to like get cloud and just to get, you know, attention, and like people just really push those boundaries and just really push it.
Yeah, it's because these companies, they know that if they ban that, it won't have a lot of traction.
Yeah.
And there'll be another site that'll do that, and everybody will switch over to that.
Exactly that. Yeah, man. I don't know. I think that the final message for this episode is that I don't know, and I don't think anybody knows anything, and we're just trying our best to navigate this, you know, and just understand everything the best we can. And I think that's the best we could do. Like, do you have anything else that you want to finish off?
I mean, I could say a message to the world.
Right. So, as per usual,
a tradition
on this show ever since I think the first episode. I think I already started doing this, but staring into the camera, for those of you who are new to the show, every guest will stare into the camera. They will pretend that they are walking on the global stage, on a world stage. Everybody on the planet stops what they're doing. They are given an interpreter earplug where it will translate perfectly everything that Ferdinand is about to say perfectly into their language. And they have this opportunity now to convey one message. It could be a message, it could be a question, it could be a word, just one thing that they're going to utter into the microphone and everybody's going to hear it. And that's how we're going to log off the show.
Yeah, that's perfect. So hello world. It's your boy Ferdinand again. I just want to say, you know, at the end of the day in your 20s, everything's sporadic and crazy, but just go with your gut. You know, it's your life. You choose what you want to do. There's going to be ups and downs, and it's a trial and error process. So just go with your gut and just know that everything's going to be okay. No matter what, like you're going to worry about the future, like, oh, what if this happens and that happens? But just live presently and just know that everything will be okay and everything will work out to what you want. Don't stress about it. Just do it. So yeah.
And the obstacle is the way.
The obstacle is the way.
Will always be the way.
It will always. And you should read that book. It's a really good book.
It's a really good book. I just finished it and I do recommend it. But yeah, guys, so thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for coming on again.
Thanks for having me again.
It's the second time. So if you guys didn't check out the first episode we did together, you guys should definitely go check that one out if you want to check that one out first. And I should have said this at the beginning of the episode, but if you want to check it out now that you've listened to this one, if you enjoyed anything that we said, feel free to comment below. Let us know what part stood out to you. If you resonated with anything that we said and talked about, tell me what you hated. If you absolutely hate us as people, as human beings, please also be vocal about that in the comments. And yeah, with that being said, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And don't forget that it's never wrong to be mentally gone. Peace out, guys.
Peace.